I'm Richard England, Dean of the Sandra and Jacopine Honours College here at Eastern. I'm delighted to be returning to MC this for a second time, which means I'll have a chance to try to master the buttons on the machine below and be again astounded by the brilliance of your sons and daughters as they answer all sorts of challenging questions. So without further ado, I'm going to ask both teams to come on out and take their places. From Mattoon and Charleston, please come on out. Let's give them a round of applause as a welcome. And we will now just test our buzzers and have the team captain introduce their team members and coaches. So we'll start with Mattoon.
Hi, I'm Griffin Paul, captain of the Mattoon Varsity Scholastic Bowl team. We are coached by Mr. Wright, and my teammates will introduce themselves from my left to my right.
Ephraim Manis, freshman.
Ben Hinton, sophomore.
Nick Eveland, senior.
Josiah Donaldson, freshman.
Thank you very much, Mattoon. And Charleston, same from you, please.
Hi, my name is Jake Cruz. I'm a junior at Charleston High School. I'm the captain of the Scholastic Bowl team. We're coached by Miss Ann Kidwell, and my team will introduce themselves with their name along with the back 3 digits of their parents' credit card.
Excellent. Give it a go.
Yeah. Lahir Peryanan, I'm a sophomore, and the digits are 420.
Excellent. Okay, thank you.
My name is Riley Carey Tillman. I'm a junior, and the numbers are 247.
My name is Caroline Hall. I'm a freshman. The numbers are 666.
The rules of the game should be fairly familiar to you. The format we'll be following is 2 halves of 25 minutes. There'll be a toss-up question. Each team can buzz in. They'll get 1 chance at giving an answer. And we're going to give you a sort of 5-second window to get that answer out in. If that team gets the answer incorrect, the other team will have a chance to respond. They will also have 5 seconds. If either team is successful, they will be given the bonus round. That is to say, they will have the first chance at the next set of 3 questions to answer questions on a related topic. If they get those parts incorrect, the other team will have a chance to counter. For computational questions, there will be a 10-second allowance, or 9 seconds if you're responding on an incorrect answer from the other team. And so, without further ado, I think we've covered the basics. The only other thing I'll mention is because of state austerity measures, we are going to go with 1 point per answer, not 10. If this upsets your sense of aesthetics, multiply. Right, if you're smart enough to have a son or daughter here, or a family member or a friend here, you can do the multiplication, I'm sure. So, in any case, we can multiply at the end if that makes people feel better. All right, without further ado then, we will start the timer and get going on our first half. First toss-up, open to both teams. This country contains the headquarters of the Steinhoff Furniture Company, which was the subject of a 2017 accounting scandal. The ethnically Indian Gupta family has been accused of orchestrating mass corruption with a former leader of this country, who was replaced by investor Cyril Ramaphosa. Jacob Zuma resigned as president of, yes?
South Africa.
That's correct. So Mattoon gets their first point and the first set of bonus questions. So, first bonus. In 2017, the Congress of the Republic initiated impeachment proceedings against this man for 10 points each. Name this world leader who resigned in March 2018 due to his involvement in the Odebrecht scandal. Answer?
Mugabe.
No, I'm afraid that's incorrect. Charleston?
No answer.
No answer. It was Pedro Pablo Kuczynski. Second part of the bonus, Kuczynski succeeded Ollanta Humala as president of this Latin American country.
El Salvador.
No, I'm afraid that's incorrect. Charleston?
Venezuela.
You're getting closer. It was Peru. Finally, for the last round part of this bonus, the Odebrecht scandal involved a construction company from this Portuguese-speaking country, Peru's eastern neighbor. Response?
Brazil.
Correct. Okay, moving on to our second toss-up question. A man who died in this event said, "Fortune favors the brave," while ordering his ship to sail to Stabiae. The author of the encyclopedia known as the Natural History died in this event, which barely damaged the frescoes in the Villa of the Mysteries. Pliny the Elder died in this event, which took place in AD 79 during the reign of Titus. Charleston.
The eruption of Vesuvius.
That's correct. Very good. So, Charleston, you get the next round of bonus questions. One origin story for this group depicts their formation during an invasion of Earth by Apalaxians. For 10 points each, name this group of DC Comics superheroes whose initial lineup included Green Lantern and Wonder Woman.
The Justice League.
That is correct. This other inaugural member of the Justice League is the alter ego of Arthur Curry. His enemies include the supervillain Black Manta.
Aquaman.
That is correct. Finally, this green alien, who was brought to Earth by Saul Erdel, was a founding member of the Justice League.
Green Martian.
I'm afraid that's not correct. Chance to steal?
Martian Manhunter?
It was the Martian Manhunter. Okay. Thank you very much. All right, moving on to our next toss-up. Aphids and Komodo dragons can undergo one form of this process called parthenogenesis. Another form of this process, performed by fungi, relies on spores created through mitosis. This process, which does not involve the combination of gametes, generally results in offspring that are genetically identical. Charleston.
Asexual reproduction.
That is correct. Okay, so the next set of bonus questions go to Charleston. This element's white allotrope can be burned to produce a pentoxide compound. For 10 points each, name this non-metal that is found in the heads of most wooden matches.
Phosphorus.
Phosphorus is correct. Phosphorus pentoxide is an anhydride of this compound, which is commercially used to remove rust. Its molecular formula is H3PO4. Need an answer?
Hydrogen phosphate.
I'm afraid that's incorrect. Mattoon?
Phosphoric acid?
Phosphoric acid is correct. Finally, Charleston, the last part of your bonus. Phosphorus pentoxide is commonly used as one of these drying agents that absorb water from materials.
A sponge?
No, I'm afraid not. Mattoon?
Desiccant.
Desiccant is correct. Very good. Okay. Back to our next bonus, or rather toss-up question. This team won the longest ever World Series game in a series whose participants are now both in the American League. It defeated the Houston Astros to win the 2005 championship. Charleston.
The Chicago White Sox.
That is correct. Okay, so the next round going to, bonus round going to Charleston. This musical work plays as the title figures gather at the top of a mountain and prepare to journey to Valhalla. Name this orchestral excerpt that begins the third act of the second opera in Richard Wagner's Ring Cycle.
Ride of the Valkyries.
That is correct. A tape player aboard a helicopter blares The Ride of the Valkyries during a napalm attack in this 1979 Vietnam War film directed by Francis Ford Coppola.
Apocalypse Now.
That's correct. Finally, The Ride of the Valkyries was used to glorify the actions of the Ku Klux Klan in this controversial 1915 film by D.W. Griffith, set during and after the Civil War.
Birth of a Nation.
That is correct. Well done. All right, moving on. The next toss-up question. Oh, let me clear these. This country's ethnic majority is known as the Kin, and its Chinese minority is called the Hoa. The art of water puppetry originated in this country's Red River Delta. A Portuguese-influenced version of the Latin alphabet is used within this former French colony. Its cuisine includes French-style Mattoon.
Vietnam.
That is correct. Okay, so Mattoon gets the next set of bonuses. An orange-colored soda from this country called Iron Brew is sometimes said to taste like liquid bubblegum. Name this constituent country of the UK. Its more traditional cuisine includes haggis.
Scotland.
That's right. Unhealthy diets likely contribute to this Scottish city's unusually low life expectancies, known as its namesake effect. It is Scotland's most populous city.
Glasgow.
That is correct. Finally, Glasgow is the origin of the Munchie Box, a 2,000-calorie fast food box that usually contains fried chicken, pizza, French fries, Indian food, and this variety of kebab from Turkey. An answer?
Shish.
No. Go ahead.
Halal.
No, I'm afraid it's a doner kebab. So next time you're in Glasgow, see if you can survive your way through to the doner kebab part of a munchie box. All right. So moving on to the next toss-up question. This poet invented a stanza form in which an Alexandrian follows 8 lines of iambic pentameter. Like his contemporary, Thomas Churchyard, he received a pension of £50 a year from the crown. A duplicitous woman named Duessa helps the sorcerer Archimago to beguile the Red Cross knight in an allegorical poem by this man that celebrates the rule of Elizabeth I. For 10 points, what poet wrote The Fairy Queen? Mattoon?
Byron.
I'm afraid that's incorrect. Any answer here?
Sorry. Yeah, okay. Shakespeare.
No, I'm afraid it was Edmund Spenser. All right, moving on to the next toss-up. In 2017, Kathleen Rice led a closed-door meeting aimed at replacing this politician. This politician, who owns a vineyard in the town of St. Helena, is one of the wealthiest members of Congress. An 8-hour speech this woman gave in support of the Dreamers is the longest speech ever delivered in the House of Representatives. Charleston?
Elizabeth Warren.
No, I'm afraid that's incorrect. Mattoon, I'll finish the question. I cleared that. The longest speech ever delivered in the House of Representatives. For 10 points, name this current House Minority Leader and former Speaker of the House.
Nancy Pelosi.
That is correct. Okay, so Mattoon, you get the next set of bonus questions. Pencil and paper ready. So this is 10 seconds we'll give for each of these parts. But this is, of course, a bonus round, so you guys do get the first crack at them. Set A has 3 elements, namely 1, 3, and 7, while set B has only 2 elements, namely 2 and 3, for 10 points each. What is the only number that is in the intersection of sets A and B?
3.
That is correct. How many elements are there in the union of sets A and B?
4.
That is correct. Finally, how many elements are in the Cartesian product of sets A and B, given that the Cartesian product is a set of ordered pairs?
6.
6 is correct. Well done. All right. So, moving on to our next toss-up. In 1776, this man was given command of the ship Providence, which he led in a raid on Nova Scotia. The Serapis flag is sometimes named after this man. Yes,
John Paul Jones.
that is correct. So Mattoon gets the next toss-up. Or sorry, next bonus. After Pistol announces this man's death, Mistress quickly asserts he's not in hell. For 10 points each, name this character who cavorts with Bardolph, Nym, and the Prince of Wales at the Boar's Head Tavern.
Peter the Pardoner.
No, I'm afraid that's incorrect. Charleston?
Paul.
No, I'm afraid it's Sir John Falstaff. All right, back to Mattoon. At the end of this two-part Shakespeare play, Falstaff is ordered to keep a 10-mile distance between himself and the newly crowned king.
Macbeth?
No. Going back to Charleston,
Henry IV.
Henry IV is correct. Finally, in this bonus, Shakespeare brought Falstaff back for this comedy in which Falstaff tries to seduce Mistresses Page and Ford. Need an answer?
Macbeth again.
I'm afraid that's not much of a comedy, so no.
Much Ado About Nothing.
I'm afraid it was The Merry Wives of Windsor. I've got to drag you through some more Shakespeare plays, but well attempted all the same. All right, back to the toss-ups. This body experienced the Alarod oscillation between two periods called the Older and Younger Dryas. This body undergoes periodic orbital forcing in patterns described by the Milankovitch cycles. The Great Oxygenation event may have triggered one of this body's snowball periods, which occurred prior to its Cambrian explosion. For 10 points, name this planet roughly 93... Charleston.
Earth.
Yes, correct. You have been there. All right, well done, Charleston. Okay, so yours is the next set of bonus questions. The 1856 Treaty of Paris that ended this war, forbade Russia from hosting warships on the Black Sea. For 10 points each, name this 1850s war in which Russia lost to an alliance of European powers. The charge of the Light Brigade occurred during this war.
The Crimean War.
That is correct. At the start of the war, Russia's emperor was this man, the first Tsar of his name. He preceded Alexander II.
Ivan.
No, I'm afraid that's incorrect, Mattoon.
Vladimir?
No, good Russian names, both of them, but this one was Nicholas. Finally, the war ended in 1855 after a protracted siege of this city, the base of Russia's Black Sea Fleet.
Sevastopol.
I'm afraid it wasn't your turn to answer, so it's your turn still.
Sebastopol.
That's correct. Sorry about that. That's the last of their bonus questions. No biggie. All right, let's go back to the toss-ups. This author proclaimed that the soul is no traveler and that traveling is a fool's paradise in a work that asserts nothing can bring you peace but yourself. He encouraged his readers to contradict themselves in a work that denounces a foolish consistency as the hobgoblin of little minds. For 10 points, name this Massachusetts transcendentalist whose 1841 book of essays included self-reliance. Yes?
Emerson?
Emerson is correct. Very good. So, toss-up, or bonus round now to Mattoon. This author criticized Uncle Tom's Cabin for being too sentimental in his essay, Everybody's Protest Novel. For 10 points each, name this author of the essay collection, The Fire Next Time.
Twain?
No, I'm afraid that's incorrect. Charleston?
Thoreau.
No, it was James Baldwin. All right, back to Mattoon. This novel, Baldwin's first, centers on John Grimes, who grows disillusioned with his religion. Answer?
Questioning Faith.
Good guess, but no. Charleston?
No answer.
No answer. It was Go Tell It on the Mountain. Finally, Mattoon, Baldwin followed Go Tell It on the Mountain with a novel named after this man's room. This is the first name of the student who falls in love with the title character in Rappaccini's Daughter.
Ted.
Ted. No, I'm afraid it wasn't Ted. Charleston?
Mary.
It wasn't that modern. It was Giovanni. All right. Very good. Like, moving back to the toss-ups then. This instrument is the soloist in John Adams' Gnarly Buttons. It was added to a string quartet in a work composed for Richard Mewfield by Johannes Brahms. Mozart's last instrumental work was a concerto in A major that Anton Stadler played on this instrument. It plays a trill and a glissando to open George Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue.
Clarinet.
It is indeed a clarinet, correct. So the next round of bonus questions going to Charleston. As of 2018, this country may use more electricity to mine cryptocurrency than it uses powering its residents' homes. For 10 points each, name this European nation that mostly uses geothermal energy.
Iceland.
Iceland is correct. Most of Iceland's electricity is used to refine this metal in a process that uses molten cryolite and 3 moles of electrons per mole of metal.
Phosphorus.
No, I'm afraid that's not correct.
Coal.
No, it's aluminum. Finally, back to you, Charleston. The geologic activity that provides Iceland's geothermal energy also leads to volcanic eruptions, one of which created this island off Iceland's coast in the 1960s.
Platonic shifting.
No, I'm afraid that's not correct.
The Faroe Islands.
No, it's Surtsey, Surtsey Island. Very good. All right, back to the toss-ups. J.W. Milam discussed the death of this person in Look magazine after Milam was protected against double jeopardy. Grocery store owner Roy Bryant was acquitted of this person's death, which followed an alleged incident involving Roy's wife, Carolyn. An open casket funeral was held. Yes,
Emmett Tills.
that is correct, Emmett Till. Very good. So moving on to the bonus questions again, this time with Mattoon having the first answers. The sodium salt of this substance is responsible for the taste known as umami. For 10 points each, name this amino acid, the G in MSG.
Glutamate.
Glutamate is correct. In humans, glutamate serves as a precursor for this cyclic amino acid. It rarely appears in alpha helices because it forces a kink in the backbone of peptides. Answer? No, have to take that as no answer. Charleston?
Glycine.
No, I'm afraid the answer is proline. Finally, back to Mattoon. Glutamate also serves as the precursor for this other amino acid, which has the most nitrogen atoms of any proteinogenic amino acid.
Cytosine.
No, I'm afraid that's incorrect. Answer?
Adenosine.
No, the answer is arginine. Okay, thank you. Back to the bonus question, or the toss-up questions. This fact implies that no lossless compression algorithm can shrink every input. Formally, this statement means no injective function has a codomain smaller than its domain. This idea means there must be 2 people in Chicago that have the exact same number of hairs on their heads. For 10 points, name this principle that if n items are put in m boxes and n is greater than m, some box must contain more than one item.
The pigeonhole?
That is correct. That is the pigeonhole principle. All right, so the next bonus round, going to Mattoon first. This group successfully traversed the Simple Glades, a pair of rocks that crushed ships attempting to pass through. For 10 points each, name this band of heroes led by Jason who quested in search of the Golden Fleece. Answer?
Argonauts.
They are the Argonauts, correct. This sorceress, the daughter of the king of Colchis, fell in love with Jason and helped him retrieve the Golden Fleece.
Cersei.
No, I'm afraid that's incorrect. Charleston, chance to take it?
Circe.
No, it's Medea. Finally, back to Mattoon. This king of Iolcus ordered Jason to fetch the Golden Fleece. Medea convinced his daughters to throw him into a boiling pot, which killed him.
Minos.
No, I'm afraid that's incorrect.
No answer.
It's Peleus. Okay. Back to our toss-up questions. Oops. Before this character leaves home, he is given blackberry jam and 8 pairs of freshly knitted socks by his mother. A wound that this character receives from the butt of a rifle is nursed by a soldier named Wilson. This character, who is called the Youth in an 1895 novel, is ashamed of running away from a battle during the Civil War. For 10 points, name this protagonist of Stephen Crane's The Red Badge of Courage.
James?
No, I'm afraid that's incorrect. Charleston, any answer?
Henry.
Henry. I can prompt you. I need a bit more than that.
Oh, no.
Whoops, sorry.
Don't. I don't. I
No,
can't.
no, okay, it was Henry Fleming. All right, so. Oh, I'm sorry, it says accept either underlined portion, so actually you get that one correct. But of course you already knew that. All right, so I apologize, but now there is a bonus round which will go to Charleston as a result of that. In the top left corner of this painting, a silver crucifix is barely visible behind the edge of a green curtain. For 10 points each. Name this portrait of Jean de Tintville and Georges de Selve. They stand by a shelf whose bottom portion contains a terrestrial globe and a lute. Answer?
No answer.
Mattoon?
The Arnolfini wedding.
Lovely guess, but no, it's the ambassadors. The bottom third of the ambassadors depicts a large, distorted, anamorphic, one of these objects. Answer?
A rock.
No, it's incorrect.
Gargoyle.
You were closer, it was a skull. Finally, Charleston, the skull and crucifix in the ambassadors may be symbols of mortality, known by this two-word Latin phrase, often translated as, remember that you must die. Answer?
Mortis.
No, I'm afraid it's incorrect. Go ahead. Mattoon, give it a crack.
No answer.
No answer. See, the worst you can do is fail. So you can always try. It's the memento mori, or mementos mori. All right. Let's clear that and go back to our next bonus. Next toss-up. Nearly all of this country's eastern coast was governed by the British Protectorate of the Mosquito Coast. William Sutherland and Smedley Butler led the 20th century U.S. occupation of this country, which Augusto Sandino fought against. Sandino's name was used by a later political organization in this country that opposed the Contras. For 10 points, what country was ruled in the 1980s by the left-wing Sandinistas? Charleston.
Iran.
No, it was not Iran. Yes.
Honduras?
Oh, you're closer. It was actually Nicaragua. Okay, moving on. Next. Is that the half? All right. So we are going to call the half there. We'll take a halftime break of 10 minutes, and then we'll come on back and continue the battle. So our score currently standing pretty close. It's anyone's game yet. So well played, teams, and we'll see you all in 10 minutes. Thank you. Okay, a very close game, as you can see from the scores, 18-16, or in the traditional numerology, 180-160, whichever you prefer. Game is still pretty much anybody's. We will continue. We've had no substitutions, so we don't need to introduce anybody new. So let's have a round of applause just to kick off and urge our teams on. So the last toss-up we didn't get, that was about Nicaragua. We are now going to continue on with some toss-ups and see who gets the next set of bonuses. So the next toss-up, open to anyone. The nickname of the Temple of Huma in Sambalpur, India, refers to this feature. This is the most notable feature of Philip Johnson's design for Madrid's Gate of Europe towers. Diotti Salvi may have designed a structure that developed this feature, which is offset by lead, weights, and the removal of soil. A shallow 3-meter foundation in unstable earth led to, for 10 points, what namesake feature of a tower in Pisa? Charleston.
Leaning.
It is indeed leaning. That's correct. So, over to Charleston for the next set of bonuses. One of these objects in Saxman, Alaska, was created to shame William Seward. For 10 points each, named these carved poles used by the indigenous people of the Pacific Northwest.
Totem poles.
That is correct. Next in the bonus, Seward was shamed for not reciprocating after being honored by one of these gift-giving feasts, which were once banned by the Canadian government. Answer?
Christmas.
No. Canadian government's left wing, but not that left wing. All right, going over to Mattoon.
No answer.
It is a potlatch. Finally, Charleston. At the 1893 World's Columbian Exposition, totem poles were part of an exhibit organized by this German-American anthropologist who wrote The Mind of Primitive Man. Answer?
No answer.
No answer? Mattoon?
Jane Goodall.
No, it was Franz Boas. All right, back to the toss-ups. At this lake's southern end, an electric barrier on the sanitary and ship canal aims to prevent invasive Asian carp from migrating north. The Sleeping Bear Dunes are on the eastern shores of this lake. Heavy industry in Gary, Indiana is a major source. Charleston.
Lake Michigan.
It is Lake Michigan, correct. If I had to get all the way to the clue about Chicago, I would have been. All right. Okay. Next bonus section. First to Charleston. Cyrus Vance resigned as Secretary of State in response to Operation Eagle Claw, which would have sent rescue helicopters into this city. For 10 points each, name this Middle Eastern city where 52 Americans were held hostage after the 1979 takeover of the U.S. Embassy. Answer?
Benghazi.
No, I'm afraid that's not correct.
Tehran.
Mattoon, that's correct. It was Tehran. Back to Charleston. After Vance resigned, he was replaced as Secretary of State by this senator from Maine. This man was Hubert Humphrey's running mate in 1968. Charleston?
Goldwater.
No, I'm afraid that's incorrect. Mattoon?
Kissinger.
No, it was Edmund Muskie. Finally, the perception that this president had done a poor job of handling the Iran hostage crisis contributed to his loss to Ronald Reagan in the 1980 presidential election.
Jimmy Carter.
That's correct. Okay, very good. And now back to the toss-up round. This man coined the term cosmic ray, and he believed cosmic rays result from new atoms being created. He measured Planck's constant over years of experiments, testing Einstein's theory of the photoelectric effect. With Harvey Fletcher, he used an electric field to suspend liquid sprayed between the plates of a capacitor. For 10 points, name this physicist who measured the electron's charge in the oil drop experiment. Oh, Mattoon.
J.J. Thomson.
No, I'm afraid that's incorrect. Chance for you, Charleston.
Buzz.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Ooh, me?
Well, whoever buzzed.
All
You're
right.
the man, apparently.
Is it Faraday?
No, I'm afraid it was Robert Millikan. Millikan oil drop experiment. Next toss-up. This man's writings were published posthumously against his wishes by his...
Kafka.
That is correct. Okay. Mattoon, we come back to you for the next toss-up. So, for 1 point each, I keep saying 10 points, but we're going on 1 point. Name these boroughs of Greater London. This borough is home to the UK's Houses of Parliament and contains the Abbey where British monarchs are crowned. So Mattoon gets the first crack at this.
Westminster.
Westminster is correct. The Prime Meridian runs through this borough of London, whose observatory was designed by Sir Christopher Wren.
No answer.
No answer. Charleston?
Greenwich.
Greenwich, that's correct. Finally, Chelsea is paired with this municipality as one of London's royal boroughs. A namesake palace in this district is the current official London home of Prince William and Prince Harry.
Buckingham.
No, I'm afraid that's incorrect.
Kensington.
Kensington is correct. Okay, staunch royalists on the Charleston side there. Okay. Right, back to the toss-up round. This album's first song likens a potential lover to her actor Richard Burton, saying, "He can be my jailer." A song on this album that claims, "I swear I don't love the drama, it loves me," features Future and Ed Sheeran. Another song from this album claims that the singer's old self can't come to the phone because the singer is dead. Yes.
Taylor Swift.
I'm afraid that is not correct. Sorry, I'll clear that. And continuing the question, another song from this album claims that the singer's old self can't come to the phone because the singer is dead. Look What You Made Me Do is the lead single from, for a 1 point, what 2017 Taylor Swift album? No Swifties on this side. Yes.
Red.
You had the first two letters right. It was Reputation. All right. Back to the toss-ups. There'll be people in the audience holding their heads, I'm sure. All right. These animals were given the opportunity to escape electric shocks by jumping over a partition in experiments by Martin Seligman that demonstrated learned helplessness. A scientist who studied the digestive system of these animals induced psychic secretion, causing these animals to salivate at the sound of a bell. Charleston.
Dog.
Dogs are correct. Very good. All right, so the next bonus round. Whoops, I've got the wrong button. Going to Charleston. For 10 points each, answer the following about literary Rebeccas. A healer named Rebecca is accused of witchcraft in this novel by Sir Walter Scott, which centers on a medieval knight.
Ivanhoe?
Ivanhoe is correct. This British author wrote about the two marriages of Maxime de Winter in her novel, Rebecca.
Wolfe?
No, I'm afraid that's not correct. Matun?
Austen.
No, it was Daphne du Maurier. Good book if you haven't read it. The essayist Rebecca Solnit wrote a 2014 book titled These People Explain Things to Me. Ernest Hemingway wrote about an old one of these people and the sea.
Man?
That is correct. Okay. All right, back to the next toss-up. A force led by this man was defeated in the Battle of Santa Cruz de Tenerife, after which this man's right arm had to be amputated. Matun?
Zachary Taylor.
No, I'm afraid that's incorrect. Charleston, I'll continue the question. You have a chance to respond. After which this man's right arm had to be amputated. This man captured Pierre-Charles Villeneuve at a battle off the coast of Cadiz. He defeated the French at the Battle of Aboukir Bay, which is sometimes known as the Battle of the Nile. For 10 points, what one-eyed British admiral was killed aboard HMS Victory at the Battle of Trafalgar? Answer? I'm afraid it was Horatio Nelson. All right, next toss-up. The change in this quantity equals the change in internal energy plus P minus V work. Reactions for which this quantity has a positive change will shift towards the product side when the reaction's temperature increases. The change in this quantity is independent of a reaction's mechanism, according to Hess's law. Exothermic reactions have negative changes in what quantity, also known as H, or heat content? Charleston?
Enthalpy?
Enthalpy is correct. So, next bonus round going first to Charleston. A white dwarf in a binary star system that accretes too much mass will undergo the type 1a version of these events. For a point each, name these events in which a massive star explodes.
Supernova?
Supernova is correct. White dwarfs typically go supernova when their mass hits this point, roughly equal to 1.4 solar masses, above which they can no longer be supported by electron degeneracy pressure.
Tipping point?
No, I'm afraid that's incorrect. Matun?
Critical mass.
No, it's called the Chandrasekhar limit. Finally, Charleston, supernovas often form these stars made primarily from a namesake subatomic particle.
Neutron.
Neutron is correct. Okay, very good. Back to our toss-ups. reset. Next toss-up. One of these things was inspired by a letter from Grace Bedell. The Greek envoys Carneades and Critolaus helped to popularize the idea of a philosopher's one of these things. Egyptian rulers often used a strap to attach fake metal examples of these things. Yes,
Beards.
that is correct. Okay, so the next bonus round goes to Charleston. Oops, there we are. The only confirmed survivor of this battle was Miles Keogh's horse Comanche, though Frank Finkel claimed the honor for years. So for a point each, name this 1876 battle in which the U.S. 7th Cavalry was annihilated by forces led by Crazy Horse. Answer?
Little Bighorn.
That is correct. Crazy Horse belonged to the Lakota, who allied with the Northern Cheyenne, and this tribe of Little Bighorn, its leaders included Chief Black Cole.
Blackfoot.
No, I'm afraid I can't accept that. Mattoon?
Cherokee.
They were the Arapahoe. Finally, back to Charleston. The battle occurred in this territory. In the 1860s, tensions on the Bozeman Trail in Wyoming and this territory sparked Red Cloud's War.
Dakota.
No, I'm afraid that's incorrect. Mattoon?
Montana.
Montana is correct. Okay, back to the toss-ups. Next toss-up. In one novel by this author, the title woman plots to murder Camille, who is both her husband and first cousin. Another novel by this author is set in the town of Montsou and depicts striking coal miners. The author of Thérèse Raquin and Germinal wrote an open letter claiming that anti-Semitism was the primary factor in the conviction of Alfred Dreyfus. For a point, name this author of J'accuse. Charleston?
Zimmerman.
No, I'm afraid that's incorrect. Mattoon?
Buzz.
Oh, yep, sorry.
Zola?
It was Zola. That's correct. So Mattoon gets the next bonus. Oops. There we go. Okay. So, next bonus primarily to Mattoon. This pillar of Islam declares there is no God but God and Muhammad is his prophet. For a point each, name this oath whose sincere utterance marks a person's conversion to Islam.
Allah is God.
No, I'm afraid that's not correct.
No answer.
It's the Shahada. The Shahada appears in white against a green background on the flag of this country. Pilgrims visit its city of Mecca during the Hajj. And this is back to Mattoon.
Saudi Arabia?
That's correct. During the Hajj, Muslims walk around this cubic, mostly black building 7 times. Wherever they are in the world, Muslims pray facing this building.
Kaaba.
That's correct. Okay, very good. And now back to the toss-ups. This agency paid a $50,000 settlement to the National Organization for Marriage over the disclosure of confidential information. Lois Lerner, a former director of this agency, resigned in 2013 after news stories reported that this agency focused on phrases such as Tea Party and Patriot in its application of...
The IRS?
The IRS is correct. Okay, Mattoon has the next bonus round. Samuel de Champlain navigated many of the waterways of New France using this kind of vessel. For a point each, name this lightweight, pointy-ended boat that, unlike a kayak, is designed for more than 2 people.
Canoe?
That's correct. The name of this West African country that surrounds the Gambia may derive from the phrase our canoe or our boat in the native Wolof language.
Senegal.
Senegal is correct. A woman holding a baby sits in a yellow canoe-shaped rowboat in this American expatriate's oil painting, The Boating Party.
Wood?
No, I'm afraid that's not correct. Charleston?
Johnson.
It's Mary Cassatt. Okay, back to the toss-ups. The ancestral form of these body parts is thought to be the apposition type, which is less sensitive than the superposition variant. In many animals, these body parts are composed of units containing rhabdoms, known as omatidia. Yes,
Eyes.
eyes is correct. So Mattoon gets the first crack at the next set of bonuses. This story's protagonist considers bracelets and a Venetian cross before selecting the title object. For a point each, name this story in which Mathilde Loisel borrows the title piece of jewelry to wear at a ball.
The necklace.
That's correct. After losing the necklace, Mathilde and her husband spend this many years paying for its replacement. The third volume of Alexandre Dumas's D'Artagnan romances refers to this number of years. Answer?
10.
10 is correct. Finally, the necklace was written by this French master of the short story.
Maupassant.
That's correct. It was Guy de Maupassant. Very good. All right. And back we go to the toss-ups. In this story, a man on horseback asks for a drink of water before telling the protagonist that there is a great quantity of driftwood near the title structure. The protagonist of this story is distracted by a clanging like the stroke of a blacksmith's hammer, which is actually the ticking of his watch. Peyton Farquhar hallucinates that he escapes just before being hanged in. Yes,
An occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge.
that is correct. All right, next round of bonus questions, going first to Mattoon. Pencil and paper ready. This is a mathematical one. Hooke's law is an approximation to the response of these objects. For 10 points each, or 1 point each, sorry, name these elastic objects that typically have helical coils.
Springs.
That's correct. For an ideal spring, this quantity equals 1/2 times the spring constant times the square of the spring's displacement from equilibrium.
Work.
No, that's incorrect.
Potential energy?
Potential energy is correct, Charleston. And then back to Mattoon for the last part of this. If two springs that both have spring constants of 4 newtons per meter are connected in series, what is the value in newtons per meter of the system's equivalent spring constant?
Eight.
No, I'm afraid that's incorrect. Charleston?
16 Newton.
You're heading the wrong direction. It was 2 newtons per meter. All right, good try, guys. All right, moving on to the next toss-up. This man voiced Judge Kitty Kitty Meow Meow Face Schwartzstein on Gravity Falls. In 2017, he hosted an HBO fundraiser for autism programs called Night of Too Many Stars. This man sometimes appears from beneath the desk on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. Samantha Bee and John Oliver are among the late-night hosts who once worked for him. In 2015, Trevor Noah succeeded... Charleston, yes.
John Stewart.
John Stewart is correct. Okay, so you're going to have the next bonus question. For 1 point each, answer the following about the 1759 Battle of the Plains of Abraham. The battle was a decisive clash during the war whose North American theater was called the French and Indian War.
The 7 Years' War.
That's correct, Charleston. And again, back to you on this second bonus part. The battle ended with the British occupying this city, the capital of New France, and today the capital of a Canadian province. Answer?
Montreal.
No, I'm afraid that's incorrect.
Quebec.
Quebec is correct. And finally, back to you, Charleston. Both the French leader Marquis de Montcalm and this British general were killed by musket fire at the Battle of the Plains of Abraham.
Johnson.
No, I'm afraid that's incorrect.
Picarn.
No, it was Wolfe, James Wolfe. There's a very good painting in Quebec City if you ever go. All right, and back to our toss-ups. In April 2018, 5 athletes from this country disappeared during the Commonwealth Games in an attempt to avoid having to return home. A crackdown by the government of Paul Biya in early 2018 targeted activists promoting the rights of English speakers in this country that was once divided between British and French colonies. Anglophone Nigeria lies west of, for a point, what African country whose capital is Yaoundé? Yes?
Cameroon.
Cameroon is correct. All right, so the next bonus going first to Charleston. There we go. This rock sometimes forms hexagonal columns, as seen in Ireland's Giant's Causeway. For a point each, name this dark, extrusive igneous rock, which is chemically identical to the intrusive gabbro. Answer?
Slate.
No, I'm afraid that's not correct.
Obsidian.
It is basalt. Charleston, back to you. Low viscosity basaltic lava often forms this kind of volcano, exemplified by Mauna Kea. These volcanoes tend to be much broader than stratovolcanoes or cinder cones.
Shield.
Shield volcanoes is correct. Finally, last in this bonus set, Hawaiian eruptions tend to form two kinds of basaltic lava flows, one dense and blocky, and the other smooth and ropey. Name both.
No answer.
No answer. Matun? Take a stab.
Pyroclastic flow.
No, the two types of lava are Ah and Pahoho. So, if you're ever near a volcano, you'll know what's about to kill you. One of those two. All right. We'll move on to our next toss-up. Salvo Lima helped this organization obtain construction rights during a period known as the Sack of Palermo. The 1963 Chaculi bombing was an attempt to kill Salvatore Greco, who at the time led this organization as the head of the commission. In the 1970s, Luciano Leggio brought this organization under the control of the Corleone clan. For a point, name this notorious Italian criminal syndicate. Yes.
The Mafia.
It was the Mafia, yes. All right, Charleston gets the next, first crack at the next bonuses. During a 2018 game, this coach opted to bench quarterback Jalen Hurts and instead play Tua Tagovailoa in the second half. Name this coach whose team went on to win that game in overtime over the University of Georgia.
Saban.
That's correct. With that victory, Saban won his 6th college football championship, 5 of which came with this school in Tuscaloosa.
Alabama.
Alabama's correct. Saban won his other championship with this school that is currently led by Ed Orgeron.
LSU.
LSU is correct, Louisiana State. All right, so we have a tie-in to our thing that's happening tomorrow, a bit of football trivia. Okay, back to the toss-ups.
Reset.
Oh, I'm sorry, my fault. Hit the wrong button. Thank you. Next toss-up. A Michael and Janet Jackson song named for this action repeatedly states, "Stop pressuring me." In a 1996 movie titled For This Action, Randy Meeks lists the rules for surviving a horror film. The nickname of the U.S. Yes?
Scream.
Yes, that's correct. Scream or screaming. Very good. Okay, so next bonus going to Matun. Pablo invites this novel's protagonist to a little entertainment that is for madmen only. For a point each, Harry Heller stabs Hermione after entering the Magic Theater in what novel whose title refers to a wild beast? Answer? No, I take that as no answer from Matun. Charleston?
The Elephant.
It is not the elephant, it's Steppenwolf. All right, back to you, Matun. This German author wrote Steppenwolf.
S.
It is Hess, that's correct. Finally, the last part of this bonus. In this Hess novel, a character whose life resembles that of the Buddha experiences a revelation when he is kissed on the forehead by Govinda.
The Last Kiss.
It would be a lovely title, but that's not it. Charleston?
No answer.
It is Siddhartha. All right. Next toss-up, let me clear. That's the game. That's the time. So you guys have a better idea of the score than I do. So victory to Charleston, 39-37, a really close game. Let's have a round of applause for both teams. Our evening. You can spend the rest of the evening going over what the answers you should have known or the amazing things that they did know. Let's have one more round of applause, both for the teams and for their amazing coaches. Thank you.